All right, today we're going to dive into what is a client avatar and why is it important to understand this. And there's no such thing as a dumb question because I had no idea. Even when I watched the movie Avatar, I did not really understand why it was called that, what it was. So when I started hearing it in the marketing industry, I'm like, what the heck? I thought this was like one of those movies. So an ideal client or an avatar is basically, I'm going to read you the definition and we're going to dive into some implementation here. So I want you to, if you're not doing University on Wheels, which I love when you do that. So if you're driving and you're listening to this stuff, doing the University on Wheels, awesome. Then you want to take notes later, not now. Or if you're on the treadmill, later. But make sure you go back to it. The 1%ers are the ones that go back to things and implement, and the ones that are not the 1%ers are the ones that listen to this, they chronically consume content, and there is no implementation. So I do want to try to make this an implementation workshop for you. So I'm going to pull up the definition. A client avatar, what exactly is it? A customer avatar is a fictional character that represents your ideal prospect. When complete, it can help you understand the motivating beliefs, fears, and secret desires. It just sounds so interesting, that influence your customers' buying decisions. Okay, so that's what a customer avatar is. What it's going to help you do is draw out, based on your words, based on the problems that you're solving, based on the niches that you have chosen for your business as a loan officer, as an entrepreneur. If you're a loan officer, you're an entrepreneur. I say it all the time. It's going to help you get on their frequency and help them problem solve, where they're going to want to work with you because your videos and your emails and your conversations and your brain surgeon like authoritative approach in the words that you're speaking speak directly to that ideal client. So again, going back to the definition, it says a fictional character that represents your ideal prospect. And I'm so glad that we're going over this today because I had a student that had been in my program for, a certain amount of weeks. And she said, Tiff, I have a question on one of our coaching calls. She's like, what is an avatar? And I'm like, oh my gosh, first of all, she's like, is that a dumb question? I'm like, no such thing as a dumb question. I had no idea what one was. I literally, like I said, I did not know, even when I watched the movie Avatar years ago. There's two of them now, but the first one, I had no clue. Especially as a loan officer, I had no clue that this would be anything of the sort of any lingo that I would use in my career. So I said, no such thing as a dumb question. I explained it to her. I had her go in and jot down all of the list of the characteristics of a perfect client, like where your strengths are. Are you, I'm going to give you some examples, but give them a name. Is it a boy or is it a girl? Where do they work? Now, this isn't to have any kind of I only want to work with women or only want to work with men, but think about your ideal client based on your strengths, based on your niches, and give him a name or her a name. So my ideal client, when I was heavily producing loans, my ideal client was Kim, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples. Kim, my fictional character, was somebody that didn't believe in themselves very much. They were a stay-at-home mom, but they knew they were good at paperwork, but they weren't sure that they'd ever be able to buy a house because they weren't the breadwinner. And she was just feeling like, I don't know if I can afford it. We're having trouble saving up for down payment, but he is going to get raises every single year. And I want this and I want that. And she gave me all the kind of specs of this is what she wants. She's very trustworthy. She's trusting. So she was just like, Tiff, figure it out for me. I trust you and just go for it. So she didn't want spreadsheets. She didn't want 9 million different scenarios. She didn't want all the bells and whistles. She just trusted me and she's like, look, I've been following you on social media. This is what I want. Show me the way. We want to buy a house. We're going to be making more money in the future. So whatever it is, there's something about down payment assistance or whatever it is, help me. So I wrote down all the characteristics, and every time I did a video for that 30-day period, I would do it specifically for someone like Kim. So when there's a Kim that you're talking to, I guarantee there's 1,000, if not millions of other people in the same position. So I'll give you another example. So let's say this is a a real estate investor that bought one house and they're trying to buy the second, but now they're realizing that they write off their rent, so they aren't claiming as much as taxes. And bam, you are the brain surgeon because your niche is a DSCR loan for real estate investors, and you know everything inside and out that there is to know about helping real estate investors that don't claim a lot in income or write off a lot get into a house. So you start doing every single video based on that one person, let's say in a real estate networking group that you're in, and you help them buy their second house or their fifth house or whatever, get really, really granular and get clear about the details of this fictional character. So when you are calling out, a misconception, a question this person had, celebrating a win, you're speaking to thousands of people that are just like that real estate investor, okay? Restaurant owners, for example, they don't realize that they can do a bank statement loan with 12 to 24 months bank statements, that they don't realize that we look at the deposits. A lot of the times we don't look at the withdrawals. So you're gonna wanna do videos based on that one, your local restaurant owner that opened up a business. Maybe take some time to interview him for a half hour, 45 minutes, and offer to, tip him really well or something for his time, his or her time, and make that your fictional character. So very important that you know this stuff, because here's the thing, like attracts like. And so if you like to do spreadsheets, you have an engineer that you love to just work numbers, like there's Mortgage Nerd that I follow on Instagram, and she loves running through all the mortgage math, and that's her jam. So she's gonna find people that love the calculations and the numbers. Whereas for me, I just like people that were like Tiff when I was heavily producing loans. Tiff, I trust you. Here you go. Help me out and give me my top 3 options, and me and my husband will pick, or me and my wife will pick, or whatever. So very important that you narrow down, maybe you can do up to 3 avatars and do your videos based on that, but one avatar at a time. So maybe when you're speaking directly to Kim, you're not thinking about real estate investors because you're thinking of a first-time home buyer that wants to buy a house. She's great at all the paperwork. Her husband brings in the income, and she's gonna figure out a way for them to buy a house with very little money down. You're only doing a video speaking to Kim. Then maybe you're speaking to a real estate investor and you're doing the subject line in the email or the video or the Instagram live or the Facebook, event, the MasterClass, whatever it is. You as a loan officer, you have the choice to decide. That's the beauty of being an all-commissioned loan officer, is that you are an entrepreneur. You have the ability to absolutely change the world, change the industry, change your community, help make massive impact, because let's face it, buying a house is one of the most important things that you can do in your life. It is the fastest way to grow generational wealth, hands down. When I got a divorce, I lived in an apartment. If I would have stayed in that house, it would have been like War of the Roses. So literally, my last name is Rose. So I would have died in that house. We would have killed each other, okay? So I left, went to an apartment, bought a house, because I knew that me sitting in that apartment and me beefing up my 401k or my Roth IRA, whatever, you can only put so much in a 401k, and you're even, on a Roth IRA, you're maxed out. Or putting it into my annuity that my financial advisor did. It was barely growing, but he's like, oh, we got $27,000 in growth. No, it didn't. It went down, it went up, it went down. You're only counting the ups, which is why it's even. So anyways, real estate, fastest way to grow generational wealth, in my humble opinion of being a real estate investor and a loan officer. So share this information with one person that you're thinking of when you're creating content. You're going to draw out thousands of people just like that avatar. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so read this slide here. So your customer avatar can help you fine-tune your marketing efforts and help you understand why some products sell better than others. It also helps you expose important gaps. Remember, we always want to bridge the gap between where our ideal avatar is stuck and where they want to get to, and you're the middle that's going to go in and fill it out. Or conflicts in your marketing messages of which you may be unaware. Okay, you can read the slide there because I butchered that a little bit. All right, so client ideal prospect DNA, their beliefs, what are their desires, what are their fears. So let's say that your ideal client is first-time homebuyer. So what are their beliefs? Maybe their beliefs are they need 20% down. Maybe they think they need perfect credit. Maybe they think their parents will never co-sign for them or never help them. Maybe their belief is that they just graduated college and they believe that the first step is going back and living with mom and dad and getting a 2-year work history under the belt. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe their belief is I'm going to get married and then we're going to try to buy a house together. No, buy a house first because the wedding, the equity will get paid for. I'm just butchering it today. So buy a house first because that equity that you're going to most likely gain is going to pay for your future wedding. So it might be asked backwards according to some people's beliefs and everything, but let me tell you, it is the fastest way to grow generational wealth and help you pay for a wedding. So maybe they carry some of these beliefs. So take some time and actually implement. Remember, implementation is key. Implement some of these things. Like, what does my ideal avatar believe? What are their desires? What do they really want? They want to own a home with little money down. They want to break a generational curse of never being a homeowner. They want to make a bunch of money. They want to be real estate investors. They want to own a home even though they are self-employed and they write off a lot. Whatever that may look like, you really got to key in on their beliefs and desires. Now, what are their fears? So many of you have heard my story of my mother-in-law who was paralyzed since my husband Bobby was 2 years old. And she saved up a bunch of money. And she was able to, on her own, because husband left, Bobby's dad left. He didn't want to deal with the woman that was paralyzed, and he just went off and did his thing. So she managed with 2 young children to buy a house in Hayward, California. Well, one of Bobby's uncles, my husband's uncles, said, Ellen, why don't you sell the house, and why don't you do this and that, and I'll take care of you, and we'll triple your money, and you'll buy an even better house. She fell for it, and he stole all the money. And he ran to the Philippines. So bad karma for him because he ended up getting shot and murdered in the Philippines over something to do with money, which is so crazy because talk about karma. That's the one thing that he was greedy on, probably one of the many things. But one thing he took away from my most amazing mother-in-law ever. She's so awesome, and bad karma for him. So what happened was she developed these fears around homeownership, and she transferred those to her kids that money's evil. If you have money, people are going to take it from you. If you own a home, then people are going to take it from you. So these fears are, remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. So what does your ideal client feel like? Like, gosh, my mom never owned a home, or, she said it's too much responsibility. What if I lose my job? So really, really go deeper into that and start speaking to that on video. Anybody that tells you that social media is not a way to generate business is out of their minds. Absolutely out of their mind. They're dinosaurs. They are stuck in the past, and they will continue. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can feel me on this one. They are about to become extinct, right? So if you cannot adapt and get on video, identify your avatar, your niches, figure out where you're the brain surgeon, it's going to be really, really rough for you in 2025 and beyond. So this is part of their ideal prospect DNA. So what are the gaps? Bridge the gaps. Marketing, positioning. Marketing is all about education. It's also a lot about positioning. You're positioning yourself as the expert. Make sure your offering caters to those kind of people. Desires. This is going to be decision buying factors, conflicts, marketing, positioning, again, messaging and offers, right? What are their fears around? You want to make your messaging around what are their fears? What is going to be? I just listened to Psychology of Sales, Brian Tracy, such a good book for all of you loan officers. Listen to that. I listen to it in the shower. I listen to it when I'm driving. I listen to it twice now. I'm almost twice now. I think I have like 30 minutes to go. I was listening to it, matter of fact, this morning. So what he talked about is there's something called like a cherry tree benefit when speaking to your ideal client or trying to make a sale, which is for us loan officers, close more loans. So in this cherry tree benefit, he tells a story in his book. You can buy it, I'm sure, to read, but I like to listen to books. Otherwise, I fall asleep at the wheel for sure. I'm sorry. I fall asleep on the couch. I don't fall asleep at the wheel. I love driving and listening to audibles. You know what? Done is better than perfect. This is why I just roll and I don't do everything scripted, because it would just fall flat. You get my little entertaining slip ups. Okay. So, anyways, he talks about a story about how a woman and a man get with the realtor, walk into a home, real estate agents walking through the house, and the husband is smart. He's like throwing all these things. Not that the wife isn't smart, but again, just don't take my words taken out of context. So the husband knows that he's gonna shit talk the kitchen. He's gonna be like, yeah, hardwood floors or this or that, and there's nicks and there's whatever. So he's trying to do the right thing where he's pointing out all the flaws of the house. And the real estate agent's like, well, yeah. Wife comes in. This is a story, okay? This is in Brian Tracy's book that he tells this story. She comes in and says, oh my gosh, this cherry tree outside. Have you seen that cherry tree? I grew up with one in my front yard. I've always wanted to have a cherry tree. Oh my God, we got to get this house. And husband's like, oh my gosh, shh, be quiet. We don't want the agent to hear that, because we know that a lot of the times with real estate, statistically speaking, the wife makes the decisions and the realtor knows that that's that cherry tree benefit, that value, and that desire is going to help them make a decision to buy that particular house, no matter what the cabinets look like, no matter what the hardwood floors are doing or whatever. So real estate agent caught on to it, brings them into the kitchen, and they're again like, talking crap about this and that and the nicks in the cabinets and all that. And the real estate agent tells the wife, but look out that front window. When you are entertaining your family, you're building memories. Look at what you're going to be looking at, that cherry tree. I mean, imagine it in the winter and the summer and the blah, blah, blah. And imagine how many memories the house is sold, okay? So you need to find out what that cherry tree benefit is for your client and your ideal client, your avatar, so to speak. And that's the real desire. So the cherry tree in this situation, the story was the actual real desire. The desire wasn't like, oh my gosh, I've got to fix these hardwood floors. Oh my gosh, this is burning desire. It's to build memories like what I had when I was a child and I had this, whatever tree, which is very true, because I have always been more prone to buy a house that has a blackberry and raspberry bushes, lemon tree, avocado tree, there's certain, even an olive tree, because I grew up with all of that. My side yard growing up in Pleasanton, California had blackberry and raspberry bushes like crazy, which weren't very fun to go in. They're actually kind of stickery to crawl through when I was sneaking in and out. Sorry, Mom. But sneaking in and out of my house when I was a teenager, it kind of was ouch. But it reminds me of my childhood. So I've always bought houses that have fruit and trees and bushes that were blackberries. Even a place down in downtown Danville has blackberry and red raspberry bushes outside, and they allow the kids to pick them and things. It's all organic, and it's just fun extra thing that my 4-year-old loves to do, and we go eat there. And I just stare at it sometimes, and I'm like, it reminds me of my childhood. So, what are their desires? Figure that out with your ideal client. So important. So, what's their occupation, income? How much money do they make? What's their education like? Who are they? This is important because if their occupation is, if they're an engineer, they're going to want spreadsheets. Is that your ideal client or not? If their occupation is a real estate investor, you're going to want to speak to them about DSCR loans or some kind of investment loans, or if restaurant owners, bank statement loans, ITIN loans. If you're bilingual, if you speak Spanish, a lot of ITIN loans are available to people, and they don't even realize what they are or what the benefit is. What do they do for work? That's just piggybacking on what I just said. How do they feel about their job? How do they spend their week? What do they do on the weekend? So interests, habits, hobbies, where do they make their purchases? This is all, if you don't spend the time now to educate yourself on your ideal client and answer these types of questions, it's going to be really hard for you to create content that goes out and attracts business and grabs them. So you want somebody on the other side, as I wrap up, you want someone on the other side, the audience, that's, you stop their scroll because you had a fabulous hook that I taught you, and you're showing up consistently. They're like, who is this person? Oh my gosh. So I feel heard. I go understood. I feel seen. Oh, and the call to action is drop the word link or book a call. My calendar link is in the bio. Oh my gosh, I'm going to go go up there and book a call and they can't wait to talk to you on Monday. They don't need to call you right then on the spot. They just want to do it, book a call, book a spot. You can get with them on Zoom. You could figure out all their desires, everything, strengthen the relationship that you've already built on social media. Strengthen the relationship, I think I said, that you've already created on social media because you've done what's called winning before you arrive. So having an ideal client and speaking to them and calling out their desires, their fears, their worries, helping them problem solve, get over their fears, that is called winning before you arrive. And that's how you speak to your ideal client. And it is beyond important in the loan officer world, especially with the world of Facebook ads, Instagram ads, email list building, giving away lead magnets. What kind of lead magnet you're going to give away if your videos about this and your lead magnet's this, or if it's some boring can speaking to everybody. Remember, if you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody. You've got to find ways to cast out more nets, more big old pools in the sea, speaking to specific, like how to grab specific kinds of fish that are where you're the expert of doing. It drives me crazy when I see these fishing videos with all these nets and they don't want certain like fish and they just like throw them away or whatever. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to throw our clients away that don't speak to our avatars, but we do want to make sure that people know where our area of expertise is so we can draw them out. But when you do get somebody on the phone, you do catch a fish instead of just saying, well, they're not worth it or something. So this is a human being that wants your services. Of course, we do the vanilla stuff. We do the regular 20% down, blah, blah, blah stuff. Of course, but you really want to show your area of expertise. If you have the limiting belief or fears, also sometimes finding excuses and reasons. So if you have a little bit of fear about, oh my gosh, if I'm only speaking to real estate investors or only speaking to ITIN, people will think I don't do the rest of the stuff, then put it in your tagline, put it in your social media, speak about that on video once in a while. You will build a following. And what I encourage you to do is respect your audience. So I don't care if you have 200 followers or 2,000 or 20,000, you have to respect them. When they start following you, DM them. I'm so grateful for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Here's my free gift to you. Top 10 things, do's and don'ts when applying for a home loan process. I hope you find it helpful, whatever. And then follow up with them. Like keep giving them content consistently. The biggest pitfall I see is that the lack of consistency in our industry is wild. Like going all out in January and then falling off the wagon, starting, a book like this book, One to Many Marketing, is amazing, by the way. Doing some videos, losing the belief, showing up, doing an offer for a calendar link, nobody shows up, doing a MasterClass or doing a Facebook Live and asking people to book a call and dropping your link there in your live. Understand that there's no such thing as overnight success. But you have to start understanding, implementing, knowing these things, like educating yourself and weeding through how to get to where your ideal client is hiding. Building systems, having these processes in place, because if not, you're just like everybody else. You're going to be a dinosaur in the business. And what if, think about it like this. What if I told you that you could be out of business by the end of the year if you do not start showing up on video, list building, finding out your niches, building out your ideal clients, showing up consistently, marketing one-to-many instead of one-to-one, some of these things, and the other people are learning it, you're the dinosaur, right? You have 1,000% chance of losing. So I hope this was helpful to you. Please comment, like, subscribe, comment below. And if you're looking for any of my upcoming free events, my paid events, my 3-day Invincible Lender event, Leap, Ignite, anything, link is in, I'm doing call to action. Link is in the bio. Book a call with my team. They will make sure that they fit you in the right program and meet all of your needs and exceed your expectations. So thank you so much. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.